Hello stampers, and welcome to Laura's Stamp Pad. Do you see a theme with all of these cards here? If you guessed flowers, that's a good second runner-up guess because I do love flowers. But the other one is ribbon. I guess this one's kind of hiding a little bit there, but ribbon is what I love to use as an embellishment the most. And because of that, I get tons of questions about ribbon and the best way to use it and measuring and counting and things like that. So I just thought I would do a quick little tutorial showing you some tips and tricks on using ribbon on your project. So I'm just going to push these forward a little. So a lot of times whenever I'm using ribbon, I'll go around either the full card, or I'll go, like this goes all the way around the full card to the inside, or sometimes I'll do it on the layered piece. So this one you can see is just around the white piece and it doesn't actually go around the actual card front. Same with this one. So this one, it just goes around that green piece. It doesn't actually go around the card front. So whenever I use ribbon around my card, most of the time I actually like to cut my card base as a 4 1/4 by 11 because this saves a little bit of ribbon. So if I wanted to do something like this, where I have the ribbon on the spine, I could always turn my card like that and it can open this way. Or I can do it like this and do the ribbon up top and then have the rest of my stuff below. Like for example, for this one, I could have went around to the inside of the card because I did one of those 4 1/4 by 11 cards. You could always certainly go like this. This just uses more ribbon. So depending on if you want to save ribbon or if you only have so much left, then that might be a consideration that you take when doing your card base. So whenever I go to measure ribbon, what I usually do is I go where I'm going to go around this card. So I usually let a little hang off, like I don't go exactly to the edge just because it doesn't need to be exact. So I go to the edge here, around and to this side, and then I cut over here. And that is to do a knot around my card. So just as simply around the front or across the front, around to the back, and across the front again. And that is the amount of ribbon that I need for that piece. So I'm not going to actually give actual measurements because it'll vary. So for example, for this one, this piece actually measures 3 3/4 wide, so it might be a smidge less. So I could save a little than this one that is 4 1/4. So I'm just going to slide this in. And of course the best way to get that fabulous little knot is to do right over left and then left over right, or vice versa. You just want to make sure you're not always doing right over right, right over right. So I will try to do this as slow as possible. So you can see here, this is my right side, or I'm sorry, okay, here. This is my left. I should put like big L's on my hands. Left and right. So my right is going over the top of the left piece. So the right is going over the top of the left and underneath. So now this is my left, this is my right. Now I'm going to put my finger here in the middle to hold, and my left is going to go over my right and tie the knot. So there you have where it lays flat. Now if I did right over right and then right over right again, you get where it looks like a T and it goes up and down and side to side. So it looks like a little T or like a cross or something. So just make sure it's always the opposite. So if you do right over left the first time, make sure to do left over right the second. Or if you do left over right the first time, make sure to do right over left the second. So that is how I do the measurement of that. And of course that would go the same way if I was doing this card here. So for this card, again, I would just start down here, wrap it around. Oh, there went my spool onto the floor. and it's just unraveling across the floor. So there, and then I would cut it right here. And that would be enough to go all the way across my card going the other direction. So that's how I do the quick and simple measuring for whenever I'm cutting for classes, or if I'm making multiples and I want to cut my ribbon all at the same time and not waste a whole bunch by going off the spool and having too much. Again, that's just for the knot. That's not to actually do a bow on there. So just the knot there. One of the other questions I get a lot is, do I use adhesive? And I would say the answer to that is no. For the most part, I never use adhesive to attach my ribbon. So you can see that this one, like, you know, technically I could always slide this off. And the other good thing about not using the adhesive prior to having the knot tied is if I wanted it to be up top, then I just kind of squeeze the card a little like this to have a little give room, and then slide it up. So then it's right up there. Or if I wanted it to go back down to the middle, or if I wanted to slide it to the end here, or, you know, something like that, then I can slide and move it around. And mine is fairly tight. I do like to use, you know, my finger to hold that. Sometimes, you know, I just wish we had 3 hands so that we could actually use that third hand to hold it in case you need that finger, which if you do, definitely don't hesitate to ask if you're at any of my classes or events or anything like that. Of course, if you're at home crafting alone, then you don't have that third hand to be able to use. But I always use like one of my other fingers and then keep using these two, the thumb and the pointer finger, to do all of my tying. So, you know, if you have to use a pinky, and then you can still do this and then pull tight. Of course, if you ever do need a little dab of adhesive to secure it, then you can always put like a little mini glue dot up underneath or something like that. I do sometimes do that if I really want my my ends of my bows or something like that to go like perfectly down or something. You know, you can always force your ribbon to do the things that it doesn't want to do. So one of the other things that I do that's kind of a sneaky way of using adhesive is, for example, this one here, I just have the greeting up top there, and I have some of the Peekaboo Peach striped ribbon. So for this one, and this is just a scrap piece, so it's not actually measured out. For this one, I'm just going to tie this, because this isn't going to be my actual card base. Of course, it's so little. It's just going to be an accent piece. So I'm going to go ahead and tie my little knot on here and pull tight. One of the other things that I will say is you're almost better off pulling tight and having a little bit of a curve and then pulling your ribbon back out than you are making sure that it's nice and loose in the beginning, because then it pulls out and it's even more loose. So you're actually a little bit better off having it, you know, a little tight, because you can easily tighten your knot by pulling down here rather than pulling up here. So that's another little trick, is to almost always go like tighter, because you can pull out a little than it is to go loose. So here I just have my little greeting, and again I'm just gonna curve it a little to rotate it. So now I'm going to add this to my project. A lot of times whenever I add something to my project with ribbon on it, I like to use Stampin' Dimensionals. One, because you all know how much I love Stampin' Dimensionals, but also because I like the smooth look. Whenever you use your adhesive, then there's that little bump of the ribbon right there. So I like to use Stampin' Dimensionals for a nice smooth look. So for this one, I can actually place a dimensional on both of the ends down here and up top. So I'm kind of sneakily using adhesive to secure that ribbon, because now that ribbon is up high and it's not going to slide off over those dimensionals. It's kind of stuck there. And this dimensional is actually partially on the ribbon, so it's actually securing the ribbon in place already anyway. So that's a way to sort of use the adhesive but not actually stick it down until the very end, is by just adding the dimensionals to secure it. Again, if my ribbon was in the middle, I could always add a dimensional to the middle, or just knowing that the dimensionals are on either end, it's not going to go past those dimensionals, so you don't have to worry about it sliding off. So there's just a couple tips and tricks on how to measure and cut your ribbon for any project, as well as whether you should use adhesive or not on tying your ribbon. Like I said, for the most part, I really don't use adhesive except for like little sneaky ways like that. I don't actually use adhesive like your regular snail adhesive to secure my ribbon down whenever I'm tying it. So I hope you enjoyed this little tip and trick on using ribbon, and I hope you enjoy using ribbon too. Let me know in the comments below if ribbon is your favorite embellishment as well, or what your favorite embellishment is. I would love to hear what you guys use the most. So let me know in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Check out my blog, laurastamppad.com, for lots of other fun tutorials and techniques. And I will see you guys all next time. Happy stamping. Bye-bye.